Have you ever thought, is this just me when struggling to stay organized, start tasks, or manage time? For those of us over 50, these challenges might not be just aging. They could be ADHD hiding in plain sight for decades. I'm Jami Shapiro, host of Grandma Has ADHD, and I'm building a community where your experiences matter. Whether you're diagnosed, questioning, or simply curious, you're not alone. Our Facebook group is filled with vibrant, understanding people over 50 who share their stories, strategies, and yes, even their struggles, with plenty of laughter along the way. Ready to find your people? Join our growing Grandma Has ADHD Facebook community. Please like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and share it with someone who might need to hear they're not alone, because ADHD doesn't have an age limit and neither does understanding yourself better. Together, we're changing the conversation about ADHD after 50. Come be part of the story. Welcome to the Grandma Has ADHD podcast. If you are watching this video on YouTube, you're going to notice that I am joined in the studio, and I use studio loosely because it's the corner of my dining room that has a nice lighting and it's very clean and organized. But I am joined today by one of my best friends. Met her in college at the University of Florida. And we've been through quite a bit together, including I actually helped Lynn when she had a podcast called Decision Diaries, but it wasn't my thing and I didn't stick with it. Couldn't pin me down. Where this ADHD thing is, I'm so passionate about it that I have not missed a week of recording. So that just goes to speak volumes about ADHD being interest driven and not about our capability, because I was very capable when the subject matter interested me. So Lynn is also a friend with ADHD. And one of the things that I have always loved about Lynn, and by the way, neither of us knew that we had ADHD. I didn't know until I was 45. So when we first became friends, neither of us realized that we had ADHD. But Lynn was always that friend who I knew that whatever she said was going to be far worse than anything I said, that she had a harder time with her filter than I did. And so it always felt like a safe space to be around, because as much as I was too much, Lynn, you were more too much. So we have just really been enjoying each other and have always wanted to work together. So you're going to hear more about that as we go through the podcast, but just like I do with all of my guests. And I do want to say this, like me, Lynn is also 55. So we are the age of being grandmothers, but Lynn also is not yet a grandmother.
No, not yet.
Okay. So Lynn, tell me about your ADHD journey and introduce yourself too.
Well, my name is Lynn Layfield. And like she mentioned, we've been friends for a very, very long time. Of course, she met me when I was being very loud at University of Florida. So it hasn't stopped since then. But I will say that I think I knew all along something was quite different with me, because when I was growing up, I was in a lot of dance recitals, and as much as my mom tried to keep all my dance costumes together, it would never fail. Even when we'd get there to perform, I would lose like one glove or one piece of my costume, no matter how much my mom put those things together. And then when I had children, they were doing the same. And all of a sudden, I was at a pediatric visit where they were asking my son questions. And I thought to myself, yes, I answer all the same answers as my child. Oh my God, that's me. That is me. And so I immediately started saying, yes, this is who I am. This is a part of me. I still say it's my superpower because, that super creativity and everything I really enjoy. And then when you work with somebody that also has it, wow, our energy levels are really great. I think if someone else was in the room, they might not be able to handle the both of us together. But when we are going, it is so much fun. So today been one of those days.
Yeah. And I will say, so Lynn is visiting me from Florida. I brought her in because I am not good at technology. And if you've listened to my podcast before, you know that that is one of my struggles. And you've also heard me say that I am not going to do life on hard mode. So the podcast production and the other parts of my business where I offer great customer service, the technology behind it is definitely not working for us. So I brought Lynn in to help with that. But I also brought Lynn in to help with the membership that you've heard me talking about throughout. I just have to take a pause because the squirrel is going off. Benji, for those of you who listen to the podcast, you know that Benji has figured out where my podcast spot is. And when the light goes on, Benji has figured out that he can sit there and manipulate me for treats. And so I feed him treats along through the podcast. Every once in a while, he'll eat something, it'll get stuck in his mouth and he'll start to cry.
Oh,
And so, Lynn, I'm going to walk away and I'm going to let you host the podcast for a couple minutes while I walk away and take care of Benji. Nothing like being on the spot, right, Lynn?
no problem. So I'm going to talk about why somebody with ADHD is actually really good at technology. And I think it is one of my coping mechanisms that I use technology and databases, and it makes me feel very organized and it reminds me when I need to do things. And I do feel like that is what I have discovered over the years, that I can be hyper focused. I enjoy technology. Unlike Jamie, I actually enjoy it, but I also enjoy it for the fact of it's just makes me feel so organized. I know where everything is. I can always find it. I can hyper focus on it. I can make what I say software sing. So that is one of the reasons why I am her ADHD technology friend. I noticed that when I start to talk technology with Jamie, that is not her thing.
My eyes glaze over.
Yes, your
Yeah.
eyes definitely glaze over, but then
Mhm.
afterwards, you're so happy when everything is
Yeah.
in its place.
And if you've listened, you've also heard me say if you meet one person with ADHD, how many people do you meet, Lynn? Just one, because we all share some commonalities and we have a lot of things that are not the same. And so definitely finding your tribe and your balance is important. And that is why I am ridiculously excited to finally be able to share the membership that I have been wanting to talk about. And we're going to kind of get into some of the details with you and let you know. And we're going to be very transparent. We know the what and we sort of know the how, but we're working on some of the granular levels. But we're going to give you some idea of what this is about and why. And I think it's going to be game changing for those of us over 50 who are coming to the ADHD conversation later in life. But before we do that, we're going to take a pause because, as you know, I like to put those sponsors in that is sponsored by my company, Silver Linings Transitions. And I do want to say that we are a senior and specialty move management company in San Diego, and we are a member of a larger organization called NASM, and that's NASMM.org. And so that means that the services that we provide in the San Diego and Coachella Valley area are something that you can find with other people who are associated with my organization. I always like to put a plug in for that because most people don't know that this exists. And it's really, really critical for people with ADHD because what move managers do is handle all the logistics of someone's move, where, people with ADHD struggle with prioritizing tasks, to accomplishing, multi-step things, planning, and moving isn't fun for anybody. So I would just encourage you that if you or someone you know is looking to move, or you just need some home organizing or some downsizing help, you can find a member of NASM, that's NASMM.org. And I'm actually proud to have just been elected the vice president of that organization. So that's one message that you're going to hear. So, of course, because I don't have any commercials, I have to keep the lights on somehow and keep Benji's treats going. And then you're going to hear a commercial about the membership. So we're going to take a pause. I am, just like always, I'm going to ask you that if you are enjoying this content, if you would like it, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, because it tends to be that if we have ADHD, even though we didn't know it, we'll end up starting to look around and realize how many of our friends have it too, because they're really the only ones who get us. So, and then we're going to come back. I'm also going to ask Lynn the button. And I want to say this about the button question. Lynn, one of my very best friends, has never listened to my podcast.
I don't want to say never.
Never listened to my podcast. So we're going to take a pause and we're going to ask Lynn the button question. She doesn't even know about it. So, all right. You know that feeling when Monday rolls around and you have all the plans, but by Tuesday, you're already behind? Yeah, me too. That's the ADHD brain doing its thing. I'm Jami Shapiro, and I'm launching something I wish had existed when I first discovered my ADHD. Grandma Has ADHD, a membership community for women who found out later in life that they have ADHD and have spent way too long feeling like they don't quite fit in. Here's the thing, going it alone doesn't work for ADHD brains. We need accountability without judgment. We need people who get it. And we need structure that actually sticks. That's why I'm kicking things off with Monday Momentum and Make It Happen sessions. 1 year of ADHD coaching, followed by body doubling, where we actually do the things together. No more lonely to do lists, no more starting strong and fading by Wednesday. If you join the Founders Circle, you'll lock in this low rate for life as long as you keep your yearly membership. Plus, you'll get quarterly private sessions with just me and the other founders as we build this community together. This isn't just another membership created to take your money. This is the support system we've been looking for. Head to jamieshapiro.me to add your name to the interest list. Let's stop going it alone. That's Jami Shapiro, JamiShapiro.me. Ever wondered why helping a loved one declutter feels like speaking different languages? I did, especially with my mom. It wasn't until I founded Silver Linings Transitions, helping San Diego seniors organize and move for over a decade, that I discovered why. We all experience clutter differently, and for those of us with ADHD, it's a whole other world. If you are listening in the San Diego area and feeling stuck with moving, paperwork, photos, or home organization, our team at Silver Linings Transitions gets it. We understand ADHD's unique challenges, and we won't just help you get organized. We'll create sustainable systems that finally stick. Schedule a consultation with our team today at 760-522-1624. That's 760-522-1624, or find us at silverliningstransitions.com. Okay, so Lynn, here's the button question.
Yeah.
If you could press a button and you never had ADHD, you were not born with it, you don't have it, and you won't have it in the future, would you press the button?
Absolutely not.
Nice.
No, it's made my life so interesting. All the different streets and roads I've been on, different jobs, opportunities I've had, people that I've met because all of a sudden my interest went squirrel. And then I went to the right. I met some people, my improv people. If you're out there, improv is one of my latest squirrel things that I do. It's like
Improv comedy.
improv comedy, right? So I'm heads down on technology during the day. Sometimes that could be very singular, focused by myself. But then when I'm ready to be super extroverted and be with my people and improv people and fast thinking and creativity, that has been my latest thing in addition to coming here to California and being with you.
And I will put a plug in for improv comedy. I've led some improv comedy workshops here in the San Diego area. We also did it at the ADHD conference, and improv comedy is great for so many reasons. It's good for our mental health. We think quickly on our feet. It's an opportunity to expand those, what is the I can't think of the word right now, but neuroplasticity. And anyway, so now I want to get to one of the other big reasons that Lynn is here, and that is to talk about the membership and why the membership. And so you're going to be hearing this just before Christmas and probably after Hanukkah. So if you are like me and you struggle with what to get your family members, I know, like for my mom, who, and I've shared this on the podcast, there's nothing that I feel like I could buy her that she hasn't bought for herself or doesn't have 5 of. I mean, she still has so many things that are in the package. And that's part of the why of the membership community. So basically, when you have ADHD, because you are deficient in dopamine, then you will go out and you will go seek dopamine through other ways. And for Lynn, she drinks Diet Coke constantly. That's like her adult Ritalin. but it might be impulsive spending. It might be impulsive eating. It could be gambling. It could be addiction issues. Definitely speaking without thinking. We both lack the filter.
Yeah, I have that one.
Yeah. Oh, I know you have that one. Thank you for having that one. It's just created a safe space for me. But one of the things, well, lots of things that we're building around the membership is this self-acceptance piece, this understanding of ADHD and its impact on our lives. Because if you've read my book, This Explains So Much, which you can find on Amazon, then you will understand that ADHD isn't just about a hyperactive brain or a brain that's always going or a hyperactive body, or like in my case, both. I think you probably are both too, Lynn. Would you say?
When I was reading your book, I was like, maybe I'm not both. Maybe I'm more on the other.
Attention.
Yeah.
She kept up with me. We have had so much fun. We've been going, and she's kept up. But I digressed. You just saw a squirrel moment. Within the ADHD space, it impacts so many areas of your life. Like, even one of the things that you wouldn't even consider is a lot of us don't like to talk on the phone. We have phone anxiety. That's partly because we're in the middle of doing something, and then we have to stop what we're doing and we have to move our focus, which is really hard. We don't do well with transitions, and that's a transition. But also, we don't like small talk. And so that's the phone. And then for me, there's the rejection sensitivity that factors in. But I would never have known that that was an ADHD thing. A lot of people struggle with time. Definitely the clutter. And that, again, one person with ADHD, one person with ADHD. But a lot of people with ADHD do have a lot of clutter. And that can be very, very overwhelming. But more than that, actually, clutter contributes to our cortisol levels, and cortisol levels can cause a lot of health issues. And actually, there was a study, and I'm not going to quote it because I just one of those Facebook things, but it did make sense to me, and I'll tell you why. That women struggle with the stress of clutter more than men do. It raises their cortisol more. And I would say that that is probably true because women tend to take on the role of running the household, and how the children are doing is a reflection on the woman, whether or not there is another co-parent and whether or not the woman is working. We take on the lion's share. So we feel that sense of responsibility. And it's definitely something I've talked about in my own experience when I had young children and did not know I had ADHD and couldn't keep it together.
Losing so many permission slips, I always felt so bad. There were times where if my son had a permission slip, I wouldn't even leave the parking lot. I would just go ahead and sign it and get back in the car line because I was so worried that my child, the day would come up and he wouldn't be able to go on the trip because I forgot to sign it. Or with my child, he forgot to turn it in after I signed it. So yeah, it can have a lot of impacts.
I missed parent-teacher conferences.
I think I'm guilty.
Yeah.
I think I'm guilty of
And,
going
and my ADHD children would literally put something in front of me as they were rushing out the door, knowing we didn't have time for me to read it. So who knows what I signed, right?
Right.
But we took on the lion's share of that. And now a lot of us are coming to this, oh, it's been ADHD. And, if you've heard this podcast and you've heard my mom and I speak, I would highly recommend that you go back to that episode. I think it was episode 50. That's one of them. And then she was the original grandma. I think might have been episode 3 or 4, somewhere in there. But the impact on her life and our relationship, it's been significant. And this discovery has absolutely, and Lynn can speak to that. She's known me and seen my journey with my mom. And I don't think either of us ever expected that I would feel the way that I do about my mom.
Yeah, very, very happy about that.
Yeah. And so the membership community is about helping people heal relationships, helping people feel better about themselves, tackling the clutter, helping with all the crafts. Because, and this is one of the ways that you're going to save a ton of money in this community. And that is because we crave novelty. We will go out and buy everything that we need to take on this new project that we are convinced we're going to do, because we have this image of ourselves being, I'm going to be the Martha Stewart, or we see ourselves in a way that we aren't. And there's a lot of issues with self-acceptance. But what happens, and I am guilty of this myself, is we buy all the craft supply, gung-ho, ready to start. And then as soon as we lose interest or get discouraged, we move on to the next thing. But we've just accumulated all those crafts.
Oh, can I name a few?
Yeah,
That just
please.
even happened on the way flying over here. Like while I was sitting in the airport, things that I was Googling. So, we're one of those people that we just throw our wine corks into sort of, a glass jar. And I was like, oh, because we're going to do all these crafts with all these wine corks and like some of our beer tops and stuff like that. And so on the way over here, when I was in layover, I was looking at all these like great things that you can make out of it. But then I remembered from last year, I have unpainted birdhouses. So I have unpainted birdhouses. I now have this huge jar of all these corks we've been gathering for this super project that I'm going to do. And then I also have the bottle caps. And I can't even tell you how many different types of paints I have.
Oh.
I have paints for birdhouses, but then I have like watercolors and I have other ones. So I always, and especially around Christmas time, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make some like homemade crafts, or I'm going to do like a little craft project. And instead, that gets moved to next year and the next year. And I don't think I should be buying any sort of more crafts. I probably have a Michael's at my house.
We're going to stop the cycle of impulsive purchases, and we're going to provide a platform for you to be able to swap so that your thing that you got bored of is now going to be someone else's treasure. We're going to save money joining the membership. So we're going to have a couple different ways that this is going to work. We're going to have a monthly subscription. We're going to have a founder circle, which is going to be you're going to be locked in for this price, and you're going to have a weekly session, monthly accountability, and access to resources. And then we're going to have one that's got a little more accountability, a little more time with me, questions and answers. And so we're going to direct you to the jamieshapiro.me website, because if you know anything about ADHD, it's a very much fly by the seat of your pants. Our goal is to be up and running in January for the new year. So that gives us a little more time to stretch it to the deadline. And you guys probably know that too, that we need those deadlines to get things done. Just like I got that book written in 3 months because I declared publicly that it was going to go out on October 1st. So I promise you this, there will be a membership that you can join. We just haven't worked out all of the details, but we are so excited. We've been strategizing, and that's one of the wonderful things that comes with synergy. And you get two people with ADHD together who have completely different talents, and watch what we can accomplish.
With the technology, it's going to be easy to join, easy to be a part of. You don't have to learn something that's so super complicated. It's going to be right there because it is being literally designed by an ADHD technologist. I look at everything of how I can just simplify. And of course, Jami has all the coaching and all the experience and all the years of seeing as this move with Silver Linings Transitions. I mean, you have learned and you've seen this pattern over time, and we really want to make sure that we don't leave our children with any clutter. And we teach our children, because this is hereditary, that we are thriving.
We are. And so we're pretty sure the name's going to have the word sparkle in it. And if you know anything about me or you've seen any of my pictures, there's always a magic wand. Actually, grab this right there. My magic wand. It is my magic wand. This one's losing its juice. But the tagline for Silver Linings Transitions is making moves magical. So whenever I go out and network, I always have the wand, so people notice that. But I also love the word sparkle because there's a term that I use in my ADHD coaching called sparkle eyes. And that is when you add something fun to a task that you're already doing to make it more exciting. So the word sparkle is definitely going to be in there. So you can definitely count on that. And we're going to be doing gamification because we're going to have accountability, because people with ADHD, we need that hand holding. We need that person to work alongside of us to keep us motivated. We need someone to break down those tasks. And we're going to be so lucky that we want to make onboarding as easy as possible. So if you are struggling, you're going to have Lynn as your help desk, and we're going to get you onboarded. So I know we're throwing a lot at you, but you probably can sense the energy and the enthusiasm. But I'm also going to give you another confession. Lynn's getting on an airplane tomorrow morning, and I have to go to an event. And so we're squeezing this in because I said, Lynn, we have to do this together. So we're probably a little even faster than we normally would be. And I'm sure you will be hearing way more about it. But please go to Jami Shapiro, that's JamiShapiro.me. There will be a button or a landing page or something. Right now, if you were to go there, you would see that I had done the Black Friday workshop. And then I had to do the Black Friday workshop again because I didn't hit the record button correctly. Speaking of technology,
I wasn't there. So
everybody who wanted the replay or who paid for it and didn't get it, it was missed. So we're going to actually put that on the membership page. There's a lot of the other content that I've been creating, both as a senior move manager, just speaking about downsizing, decluttering, and organizing, which, by the way, I started even before I knew that I had ADHD. So there's going to be a lot of great information, but most importantly, there's going to be a community of people who get you, where you can take off the mask, or as I like to say in my book, take off the girdle and just be exactly who you are. I think the word thrive is going to be in there too, because it's not just about living, but it's about thriving, truly making the rest of your life the best of your life, which is how I always end the podcast. So, Lynn, do you have anything else to say?
well, you just said the line that I like the most, making the rest of your life the best of your life. And it's interesting. I think we had this conversation the other day. You said, what were your best years? I was like, well, they're now and forward. I've learned so much, but it never ends. We always just keep learning, and there's so many things to learn from your experience and the idea of learning from a community and helping each other. I really like that.
And we are, when I say that, when people would say, why are you getting into this ADHD space and seniors? Why does it matter? Please tell me that you don't think that your life matters, and that there's any point in your life that you don't want to continue to grow or live your best life, right? At what point do you just want to sit and say, oh, I'm done. Nothing else here for me.
Right. I mean, I want to learn a language. There's so many things I want to do, but
No,
I will tell you,
no
I will
language
tell
for
you,
me.
this to me, with my latest thing with improv, this is a yes and this is a yes and to yourself. It's a yes
Absolutely.
and to yourself.
And one more thing I want to say, because, we've always got those parentheses when we're trying to figure out pricing. What is the cost of having ADHD? There is a term, and I use it in the book, called the ADHD tax. And here's a perfect example of an ADHD tax. This is probably one that anyone who's listening can probably identify with. And that is the expired food that you forget that you have because we're out of sight and we don't plan well. I know for me, my boyfriend just had a birthday and I didn't get on it in time, and I had to pay a rush fee to get his gift, right? Or it's the package that I forgot to return and now I can't return it because I've missed the window. If you've seen my website, the dead plants. Now I can't promise we're saving any plants. Let me just be honest about that. But we're going to be creating awareness and structures, and we're going to work together to come up with the best scaffolding to really make life easier. And that is, I don't think I said it in this podcast, but it's definitely become my new mantra, which is don't do life on hard mode. And I have to, my guest, Eliza, I cannot remember her last name, but she was one of my podcast guests and she said it. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. So the membership is going to be the easier button for life, because life's not easy. We know that. Meets accountability, support, and laughter, because we love to laugh.
Yeah. I even think we can all talk about our lost items.
Oh, yeah, we
That's a big task for that. That's my biggest tax is lost items. And what's interesting is after you lose them and then you go out and you replace them, you find them. And now you have 5.
And that's another ADHD tax. We're going to have to wrap this up because I got another job to do. But thank you so much for listening. We cannot wait to have you join us on our community. We're going to start the first Monday of January, which is going to be January 5th. 10 a.m. in California, which will be 1 o'clock Eastern time. And look for more information on the jamieshapiro.me website. Thank you so much, and happy holidays. And I hope the new year is your best yet. And I can promise you this, if you join our community, I will guarantee that it's going to be a whole lot better than it would have been. So here's to making the rest of your life the best of your life.
The opinions expressed on Grandma Has ADHD podcast are those of our guests and hosts and are intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. This podcast does not provide medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content discussed in this episode is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, mental health professional, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or mental health concern. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The hosts, guests, and producers of Grandma Has ADHD do not assume any liability for the content of this podcast. Listen at your own discretion.